on up. Let's get started. We'll start with a few minutes. You have a gift? Go ahead. For all the young people, we the young people who are left, we have cards, business card for blackpast.org. Never again should you have to look up information in a variety of places for African American history. So we only have a few cards, so we're going to reserve them for the young folks if they're willing to come up and get them. All right.
Okay, so we just have a little bit of time, so I want to get right into this. But one thing I wanted to ask Professor Taylor, and that is, we're living in some very interesting times right now. Everybody agree with that? Yeah. I'm interested, Professor Taylor, in the correlation of the lessons learned from Black Wall Street that we can use today in these turbulent times for Black people.
Okay, let me repeat the question. What are the lessons from Black Wall Street? Point of fact, I think everybody takes away his own lesson from a discussion like this. I don't think there's any one lesson to learn. For me, the lesson is resilience. It's not about the riot itself. It's about the ability of people to come back from the riot and to not be drowned in bitterness, but to say, we're going to go forward. We're going to move ahead. And Black folks in Tulsa continue to do that, moving ahead.
All right.
Labeling matters. The gravity of the atrocities in Tulsa and other neighborhoods are not communicated clearly to see, so people can feel the impact of the genocide. In other areas, if it had been Rwanda, the other group will call it a genocide. Mm-hmm. What was perpetrated in Tulsa, in Greenwood, was genocide.
Yeah.
And so when you use word riot with a label, it started that way. When I've been reading about it, they say riot. It really minimizes the impact, the atrocities. See, I felt that was genocide because it was driven out of envy and racism. So it was genocide. It was just to get rid of a race of people, a group of people.
I don't disagree. Did everybody hear that?
No.
Her point is that when people like me and people like all of us in this room talk about the Tulsa riot, we really underplay the seriousness of it. It wasn't a riot, as she indicated. It was genocide. And maybe we need to start using that term to describe what happened. A riot sort of supposes that, that there were people who were involved in looting and all the rest, and all that happened. But it was also seemingly a dedicated effort to try to kill as many Black folks as possible. And so that would qualify as genocide. So yeah, I'm all for using that term. You want me to go ahead and take your questions? Okay. Go ahead.
Me? My understanding of the whole situation as we look at history, we are the history. And what God is pointing us at, we need to have our Black men to stand up a little bit more, because God laid it on my heart. I'm from Georgia, and I've been up here 1 year and 6 months, but from seeing things that going on, men need to get together. We need to have a spiritual walk. Right now, it's not later on, not continue to put stuff off to the past. We need to start stepping up to the plate. Just like you go to your kitchen and eat something, you need to get busy. That's where we need to be at right now. And also, my name is Tyrone Minister Kenny, and also I'm coming up forward to doing a program for the Black men. And I want to donate myself to it. It's not about me, it's about God, and we need to come together and start showing up for the women, because we have lacking in the area of walking. But it's great to look at the history, but let's start making history.
That's right. Thank you.
That's all I got to say.
Got another one right over here.
I have a question.
Can we quiet down to hear the question, please?
It has puzzled me how Black folks can be successful in an environment where there are a lot of nonviolent ways to frustrate that, such as predatory loans, regulations, ripping them off at the supplier level. How did they manage to be successful in spite of all of that? that?
Yeah. That's a good question. I'll repeat the question. How can black people in the era of significant racial discrimination, including predatory loans and all the rest, how can black people be successful? I think one of the things that happened, and I think this is a lesson for black businesses now, it's important to have, I'm just going to say this, it's important to have black businesses, but it's even more important, black retail businesses, but it's even more important to control upstream. In other words, to have black wholesalers, to have black sources of products, and I think that's what these people did at that time. And I want to emphasize, this was done out of necessity. It wasn't done because there was some kind of special, how do I say this, a special genius on the part of black folks. Black folks knew that in segregated America and in segregated Tulsa, if you didn't start your own grocery store, you wouldn't eat. Okay? We have mortuaries now because black folks weren't buried by white mortuaries. We have black churches because black folks were not allowed to or were not comfortable in white churches. So in a sense, it's segregation, and this is part of the paradox. Segregation forces people to be ingenious. What's happened now, I don't know if you want me to go in this direction, but what's happened now is that we actually have greater integration, and so there's less of a need or less of a sense of a need to try to provide those kinds of services, and we rely on others to provide those services for now. Now, I'm not naive to the fact that in modern America, everybody relies on the services of a few. I don't think black folks can create their own internet, okay? But I do think black folks can create websites, okay? I do think that black folks can create other businesses that operate on and through the internet. And let me say one thing about this whole business of black business. In the segregated era, we had all of these black businesses. They were brick and mortar stores and all the like, and they were concentrated and you could see them. You know, it was something physical that you could touch. Let me give you a statistic from the U.S. Department of Commerce. In 2015, there were more black businesses in existence in the United States than at any other point in our history. Okay? That's a significant statement because essentially there are still black businesses being formed. Often we don't know that they're black businesses. I don't want to get into I don't want to get into trouble here, but there are restaurants that are very successful in the city, and most people, 99% of the people in this room don't even know they're black owned. Okay? So there are car dealerships in this city, and 99% of the people in the city don't know they're black owned. And then we can go on and on and on. I'm not saying that's wrong. What I'm saying is that the whole definition of black business has evolved over time. At that particular moment in the segregated milieu, you had black businesses, you had black suppliers, and you had black producers, especially the farmers. You know, you can't have a grocery store without farm produce. And essentially, and this is not unlike what happens with Japanese, with Pike Place Market. You know, the Japanese farmers in Auburn and the like, what is that called? What's that valley called? Kent Valley, okay. And Kent, you know, has produce and they sell it at the market. And black folks did the same thing, you know. But again, it's a trade-off. I mean, on one hand, you can have that segregated environment with all the problems that come with it. On the other hand, you can have an integrated environment and take your chances in terms of the larger market. I don't think we'll ever go back to the segregation, but that doesn't mean that black folks can't start and maintain successful businesses.
Tell us about Black Pass.
And what?
Tell us about Black Pass.
Black Pass is a 13,000-page website. It is the largest of its type. There's no other type like this on the internet. It was started by volunteers. It is in some ways an example of the success in the internet era because it's not a brick and mortar thing. But the most important thing I'll say about Black Pass, since I only have a few minutes left, is it's a resource that everybody in this room should use. Everybody. Oh, okay. I will tell you about the anniversary as well. You are all invited. This is a blanket invitation to the Black Pass 10th anniversary celebration on March 11th at Washington Hall. Everybody know where Washington Hall is? Yeah. It's down the street. It's on this street. But yeah, down the street. And it's 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're having some speakers, not a lot of speakers, but we're honoring the people who've gotten us this far. There are a lot of people who are coming out from all over the country. It is a fundraiser, and one of the interesting things that we're doing, talk about this notion of knowledge and the lack of knowledge and all the rest. You guys know about STEM, you know about science, engineering, technology, and everybody says there aren't enough black folks in those areas. We have done some research, and we found 1,000 names of black people in STEM going all the way back to 1900 who are not yet profiled on the website. Okay, we have plenty of people who are profiled on the website. I mean, there were black women, okay, we all know about the Hidden Figures women. There were black women with Ph.D.s in mathematics in the 1920s, okay? Okay. I mean, it's not that black folks haven't done anything, it's that we don't know what black people have done. And that's where Black Past comes in. We are dedicated to the idea of making that information that was invisible for so many years, for all of my life, making it visible to everyone, so that once it goes on the website, there's no excuse for not knowing it.
One thing I would just throw out there, it's a good segue, and I'll take a couple more questions, is what Dr. Taylor is talking about, the 3 questions that we all need to be able to answer. Who am I, number 1? Where am I, number 2? And how in the world did I get here?
Yeah.
Black Past
Does that.
answer all those questions for you.
Yeah.
Over here.
Dr. Taylor, during the era of Black Wall Street and the riots, to what extent do you speculate that people of mixed race descent, like in the black and white population, could claim like blood quantum as Indian or Native American through documentation, and to what extent did they interact with people in Indian territory? And how much did that affect land occupation?
That's a very complicated question. There's a lot of moving parts in that. Let me say that there are 2 things going on, or 3 things going on. Number 1, Indian territory, Oklahoma territory blend together to become the state of Oklahoma. And what Oklahoma does in 1907 when it becomes a state is almost unique in terms of American history. Oklahoma